right, shout out to all my supporters and subscribers. I truly appreciate all of you. About a week ago, Charlie Rock appeared on this platform. It's a hip hop history channel. And he was interviewed discussing his life in hip hop. And one thing I appreciate about Charlie Rock, even though he has issues with FBA, he finds them divisive. And so he has a lot of hate for FBA. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, the brother is going to stay consistent on the main topic or the main issue at hand, which is, does hip hop come from Black American culture? He consistently says yes, and that b-boy culture starts with Black Americans. So, like I said, irrespective of the fact that he has a negative opinion about FBA, he will always and consistently will always say that it comes from us. So now the interview asked him a series of questions, and it got to an issue of what kind of dances were being done at the hurt parties and who was going to the floor and all that good stuff. I think for me, the interviewer was trying to determine whether or not the early B-boys were doing anything similarly to what the Puerto Ricans end up doing. So Charlie Rock basically said, well, hey, the Twins and Clark Kent were going to the floor, among others, So now, here's the thing. Charlie Rock points out the fact that the Latinos came later, and of course, you could tell the interviewer wasn't really trying to hear that, but Charlie Rock said, hey, that is the history. So I'm not going to tell you everything that he said. Let's listen to how Charlie Rock puts this information to rest.
Now, what are some of the, I know in, this early phase of Burnin' as it was going into b-boying, comedy routines were still a part of the dance.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, sure.
In fact,
they weren't hitting the floor yet. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like we didn't have comedic elements. We did, but our thing was hitting the floor.
Yeah, sure.
That was what made you nice.
Sure.
One of the things they tell you, and Steve Hager, who's the screenplay writer for Beach Street, he talks about he says it in one of his things.
Yeah.
It's a thread. Charlie Rock, when he joined the thing, everything changed. It really spread.
Yes.
And that's fact.
That's right.
Yeah. Because I could spin like a top. I was a bad boy.
I see.
I see. So, yeah. Prior to that, like Sasa and Trixie and them, their thing is more upright.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
The stuff they did, we'd have served them.
Yeah.
They don't understand that. You wouldn't have got away with no crap like that. We just did you up.
Yeah. And like you said, I guess the first time you saw floor work was at the Hevelo.
Yeah.
And
the Twins and Clark Kent.
Yep. And would they do as much floor work as later became common, or were they just like?
Well, they did enough.
Enough. I see.
With the floor work now, I mean, the Puerto Rican kids, they just because we aged out of it.
Yeah.
And they kept it going.
That's right.
And I say that all the time. A lot of them, some of them aren't even satisfied with that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, listen, that's the history.
Yeah.
We give you credit. I give you credit. You kept it going.
Yeah.
And they brought other moves to it.
Yep.
But like I said, you can't have a Maserati without a Model T.
Yep.
Something had to come first.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course.
I see. Now, when you were getting, when you were aging out of b-boying, and eventually, the next generation started. What was your impression of the direction that they were taking things?
Oh well, that was rock steady when I started seeing them.
Yeah.
And this was in the early 80s.
Yep.
That's when I started seeing them.
Yeah.
And they were like I said, the innovation that they brought to it that changed the game was cardboard.
Yeah.
Okay? Like I heard Guru's thing, they didn't start doing cardboard till later on.
Yeah.
Because when we were doing our thing, we were on the concrete.
I know.
Men picking hand, going through many pairs of pro kids in the summer.
Yes.
We would wear out the side of them, especially where I spun.
Absolutely.
I wear out the side of the sneaker. They were canvas. Man, yeah.
Absolutely.
That was the major innovation because it allowed them to do the back spins and the head spins.
That's right.
So they did a lot of innovations, and it changed the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
The main place where Puerto Ricans were was the dance, b-boying.
Sure.
That was where their presence was heavy.
Sure. Were there any kind of like Puerto Ricans you remember in like the burning phase or the early b-boy phase? Okay, sure.
No.
Sure.
They come later. Like I said, they have all these crews, but I didn't see them.
Yeah.
I didn't, and I was a dude that traveled.
Yeah, sure.
So if they were really making that kind of noise, I would have seen them.
Sure.
So I didn't know anything about them.
Sure.
And when I first saw them doing the rock dance, what they call it, rock dance,
yeah.
I thought they were making fun of us.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because they weren't spinning the way we were spinning. They were going up and down,
Sure.
and they'd be in a line,
Sure.
They weren't doing what we were doing.
Sure, that's right. Sure.
Now, what I like about Cholly is that at least he's not being a melly male talking about Bronx culture, hip hop culture, Bronx culture. So thank God he's not doing that. Now, Charlie Rock said something that echoes what Mr. Wiggles said in his interview when Mr. Wiggles said he never heard of TBB or CC Crew. And so that's what Charlie Rock was saying. Basically, hey, if you were making any noise, we would have heard about you. But the fact that Charlie Rock didn't hear about them means they weren't making any noise. Now, I can imagine, I can hear the other side saying, oh, well, everybody wasn't going to every place in the Bronx. It is what it is. But it, just like, I think it was it Whipple Whip or Ruby D? No, I think it was Whipple Whip who said, no, it was Ruby D. Now I remember. He said, hey, if you was rapping or doing anything and you was a Latino back when he was doing it and we ain't heard about you, then you weren't making any noise. So maybe you was a b-boy in training. Who knows? But clearly you wasn't making enough noise where people knew about you. All right? Now you always got to wonder, people, pad their dates and you don't know what crew came out when. You really don't know. So it kind of goes on reputation. If you weren't making any noise, then you didn't exist. It's clear as that. No question about that. So much respect to Charlie Rock. Hip hop comes from Black American culture. Been consistent from day one. So with that being said, if you haven't already, subscribe, thumb up the video, share this information. It's so important to gatekeep Black American culture. So until the next time, peace.
It's something that many of you can't get from A to B without. I'm talking about your Global Positioning System, or GPS. And a Black woman played a critical role in the development of this technology. Dr. Gladys West worked with a team of engineers that developed the GPS. As a mathematician, West never knew her work at the U.S. Navy base in Virginia back in the 1950s and 60s would play such a pivotal role in history. Her work helped contribute to the accuracy of GPS and the measurement of satellite data. Today, Dr. West is still in awe at how her technology evolved into such a modern necessity. She said, quote, "When you're working every day, you're not thinking what impact is this going to have on the world. You're thinking, I've got to get this right." And get it right she did. Here's to you, Dr. Gladys West, the hidden figure behind GPS.